Welcome back to Making Money Matter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Kerry Stevenson. Today, I've asked Stan Wholley. He's the Managing Director of CGN Resources. The ASX code, got to make sure I get this right, CGR, not CGN. CGR is the ASX code. They're up in the West Arunta. And this is an area that has been really successful for some other companies. CGN, I don't want to steal away all your thunder, Stan, but your IPO, probably one of the most successful IPOs last year in October. They raised 10 mil, ladies and gentlemen, so they don't need your cash. They're not going to go back to the market, but they're in the West Arunta, big tenement area. That's why I'm really interested. But do your own research or reach out to Stan. This is not financial advice, as always, but I think this is a very interesting story. Stan, welcome to Making Money Matter. Great to see you.
Thanks very much, Kerry. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat. I'm really excited about our project, so it's always easy to talk about.
Good to hear you're excited about the project. Let's first time on Making Money Matter, just explain, if you could, just briefly, a brief overview of who are CGN so people have an idea.
Yeah, so as you said in the openings, we listed last year in a really successful IPO. We managed to raise 10 million, and it was oversubscribed at 10 million. I kind of wish we'd put a little bit more money on it now, but at the time it was very difficult conditions for the industry in general, and so to get that money away, I think, was a testament to our advisors and to the quality of the project. We've got 1,000 square Ks, or just under 1,000 square Ks, right in the middle of the West Arunta, so just south of WA1. They're our northern neighbour, Encounters a little bit north of them. We've got Rio Tinto on our western boundary. We've got IGO on our sort of southeastern boundary. There's a couple of small players that you may or may not have heard of who are doing some interesting stuff there. CGN Resources has some nice ground to the south of us, and our company MGM just managed to raise 8 million with a smaller project in the West Arunta, but I guess that's still very interesting. We picked up the project. Well, I came and got involved with the project about 2 years ago as a private company that had this major shareholding, and they'd originally looked at it for diamond exploration, and it's I'd say very prospective for diamonds still, but no one's really interested in funding diamond exploration. It's expensive and fraught with danger. But what they didn't do while they had it is really look at it for a lot of the other things that have been recognised that it's prospective for. So it's been recognised by not just us, but by sort of Geoscience Australia, the GSWA. There's been a number of academic papers done on the Arunta in general and the West Arunta that says it's highly prospective for IOCG style copper. It could be orogenic gold. There's potential for nickel, sulfide deposits. There's potential for rare earths. And so we pretty much took all the data that the diamond guys had collected, and it's quite good data. They did, a number of drill holes, but all targeting kimberlites. But they've done some really good high-resolution geophysics, air mag and gravity, and a few ground geophysics programs. They spent $6 million there. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, so it's a great base for which we then took that data and went, myself and some of my advisors, geological advisors, took that and then pulled it apart again and said, is there IOCG targets? And there is. There's some really compelling IOCG targets in there. There's some quite compelling nickel targets and rare earth targets. And so we bundled that all up, took it to market, and it was very well received.
What's WA1? Because I remember WA. Remind us what WA1's got. Because the market got very excited with them.
Yeah, they did. And I think rightly so. It looks like they're onto a major discovery there. But interestingly, if you go back and could be bothered reading their prospectus, they went there looking for IOCG deposits. They similarly had some geophysics and probably not quite as much data as us, and said, look, there's some interesting IOCG targets that we'd like to go and test. So they went to market, raised a modest amount of money, went out there, tested a couple of their targets, and were fortunate enough in early on in their exploration, they intersected some carbonatite mineralisation, which is rich in niobium and rich in rare earths. I think it's the niobium that's really driving their value more than the rare earths.
Yeah.
And subsequent drilling has demonstrated that that carbonatite is large. Interestingly, like carbonatites often come in clusters, or in, there'll be a camp, and so Encounter to their north has also found carbonatites. And I would say it's a realistic target for us as well. Like some of our geophysical targets have very similar signatures to WA1. So our IOCG targets could be carbonatites, and I'd be more than
Explain
happy to.
carbonatites to my beautiful audience out there.
Yeah, so a carbonatite is a sort of alkaline magma, which are usually larger. They're often, you need alkaline magmas to in place IOCGs as well. So having these alkaline magmas present in the region is actually a pretty good, I guess, piece of empirical evidence that you may well have IOCG style mineralizations, but they're
By the way,
basically
sorry to interrupt you again, Stan. IOCG, ladies and gentlemen, is iron ore, copper, gold.
yeah. Sorry,
Again, it's all right. You guys always go on into the
I
and I'm like,
can't
my
help it.
beautiful audience don't know.
I am just an exploration geologist at heart. Like the managing director role is really, it's the bit that has allowed me to be the exploration geologist again. So, and I forget, we're a jargon-rich industry. So thank you for pulling me up on that. Yeah, but and so like them finding a carbonatite there is good news story for us. It means that we could have carbonatites. It also suggests that the right type of geology and structural architecture exists for IOCG. So it's all good news.
And when you say, how do you find out if you've got carbonatites? Is that through EM survey? Is it through drilling? Is it what's the?
Well, I guess I'll say that the thing that WA1 and CGR are looking for was IOCGs, and an IOCG target in a geophysical context will usually be a regionally significant gravity anomaly, often with a magnetic anomaly either on it or near it. IOCGs don't need the magnetic anomaly, but a lot of the bigger ones, so Prominent Hill is a IOCG, Carrapateena, Olympic Dam, they all do have a sort of magnetic signature, but it's the gravity that pretty much where you find the mineralization. And obviously, if you've got drilling, geochemistry is important. We've got some quite interesting geochemistry that supports ours, but and so you look for these large gravity features basically, and so that's what we're targeting at 4 of our targets: Tantor, Souris, Snorky, and Horton. Some of them have the coincident mag and gravity. Some of them are just gravity, but they're all quite substantial targets. When I say substantial, like +1 kilometre gravity anomalies. So they're big systems.
Wow.
And carbonatites in like the one that WA1, they are big systems as well. So
can we just go back a step for a moment, because you mentioned this is a large area that you've got, just slightly less than 1,000 square kilometres. And you said previously it was with a company looking for diamonds. How'd you get your hands on it? Because the reason I'm asking, it's literally and figuratively, it is a very hot area. WA1, Rio Tinto, like there's a number of companies up there that are, I don't think anyone's gone in there and not had a bit of a win. So how'd you get your hands on it?
I'd like to say it was my own personal genius to recognise the value, but that's not quite true. Basically, the guys that picked it up for diamonds, as I said, they'd spent $600 million there. They tried to list it. That was in 2019, not a great market, and certainly diamonds were not considered hot. And some people that I knew that were involved, and one of the major backers said, look, I want to get a new team in here that is more focused on the other things that might be present. And so I kind of came and got involved originally as a bit of a, I know this geo that he's casting around looking for a job. And I looked at it and I said, wow, this is a very interesting piece of real estate. And so I kind of went away. I've been a consultant a long time and I've got a great network. And I sort of spoke to some of my other friends and I said, look, there's some really interesting stuff here. What do you think? And they agreed with me and said, look, it does look really interesting. And so I came on board originally as the non-exec chairman and sort of the technical guy to help drive it forward as a private company. And we're still on very good terms with the previous owners. The company was called Geocrystal. So the two geos there have gone on to bigger and other things. And so we basically restructured the company, restructured the board. I came on and we've taken it forward as what you see now at CGN.
Do they have any interests at all? Have they got shares in the company, the previous owners, or was it a clean?
Yeah, they do. They still do have, and it's quite interesting, like I guess when you list a company, it does provide a liquidity event for old and perhaps disgruntled shareholders. I'm pleased to say that pretty much all of our older shareholders are not disgruntled. I think they're very happy to see it moving forward. They've all still got their money in there. They're, a couple of them are quite significant shareholders in the scheme of it. They'd be sort of top 20s. Well, at least one of them is. And I still use the geos that were up there a lot. They're great advisors because they know the ground. They were the first people up there to negotiate a heritage agreement with the Jamu Corporation, the Kiwakara people. And so they were the first on the ground. And so we've got very good relationships with the traditional owners.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And so we've sort of leveraged that. And so we keep them involved. They go up. They've helped out on our initial programs last year. They've come with me to introduce me to the traditional owners and work through all of that. And that's allowed us, since subsequent to the listing, we've been very busy since we did list. We've renegotiated a new land access agreement, which covers all of our tenements because we did grab some extra tenure and there's some tenure that we had to change. So now all of our tenure is under that agreement, under a single agreement. And we have done a major heritage survey. So all of our programs this year are cleared for heritage, and we were fortunate enough to sort of do a whole lot of clearance, which if we make a discovery early, we can pivot and do a whole lot of work on each of the individual targets should it be required. So we've got sort of 10 to 20 holes cleared for heritage at each target. So we can pivot very quickly if we find something, and we've got plenty of scope to test all of our targets.
All right. Well, let's talk about what you're going into, because I think you kick off with geophysics, but I'm trying to look at I guess the shareholder value as we go into 2024. Clearly, discovery would be a massive tick, but it takes time and effort and focus to do that. So talk to us about the news flow as we head into 2024.
Yeah, so my background as a geologist and as a consultant, as an advisor to boards, I've always seen that the most successful companies go in with good geoscience and good management. If you've got those two things, you're a long way up the value chain of, when I say good management, I mean people who are technically competent, familiar with the markets, able to raise your money if you do need to raise. We're not going to need to do that for some time. And a good concept of your geology. And I think we have all of those things. And we've got those targets. So I think the value for us is we've raised the money, we've got that in the bank. We now work through our programs and look for the indicators. Even if we don't, the geophysics will say, look, this is the best place to go and drill the target that you've already recognised. We'll go and drill that target. If we get something that supports our argument or our idea, then we can deploy more resources to it. Yeah. And so the value drivers for us, like the geophysics will say, these are the best place to go and drill your holes. We quite quickly then roll into drilling and go and test all of our targets pretty much with drilling this year. Some of them get more effort than others, which reflects, I guess, our personal preference or our belief on where we think we'll get the most success and value. And I'd be, I'm quietly confident that we'll see some really interesting stuff come out of one or more of these drill holes. I'm hoping that they're all successful, and I don't know where to spend all my money. But so
that'd be a good position to be in, wouldn't it?
a great position. But I will also say that all of the people that have sort of come into the West Arunta in this recent rush to get in there have all found something, and often something very significant and game changing. And that's where we are. So WA1 and Encounter, very interesting. Rio Tinto and Tali, who are on our western boundary, they've been in there, and you won't see them because it's a private company in Rio who don't tend to announce kind of junior exploration results. It's not part of their materiality idea. So, but I can tell you they've been in there and they've certainly found some interesting things.
Wow.
IGO has found sort of IOCG style copper and gold mineralization, as well as just some some straight gold mineralization. And again, it probably doesn't stand out because they're a big company and they've got a lot of exploration assets. So you go and look on their website and it's like, wow, there's actually some really interesting stuff that they've found up in the Arunta. And some of the smaller players, they've found rare earths, they've found IOCG mineralization. So I think there's a, it's a long way of saying, I think there's a lot of things that can generate news flow and value as we go forward. But as you know, a junior exploration company going out to do exploration, it's a discovery of some type that creates the true value. I think the great position that we're in is that we're well funded to do that exploration. We've got a great company structure. The shares are tightly held by people that we know and trust.
Talk to me more about the company structure. So you listed back in October, you raised 10 mil. How many shares on issue? Share price today, I think it's been fairly steady since you listed.
Yeah, look, so we listed, raised the 10 mil. Post listing, that leaves us with 110 million shares. There's sort of the top 20 own about 40%, just over 40% of the company. And that's a mixture of the directors. We've got a couple of big backers that are, pro sort of junior resource investment, high net worth guys that are not here to make 2 or 3 cents on a 20-cent float. They want to see us commit the money, make a discovery, and get big value creation. And the rest of the investors that we brought in were a pretty well curated group of high net worth. So our joint lead managers brought in people out of their network. Some brokers were brought in, but a lot of them were sort of high net worth or family money operations. And then as a board, we raised quite a bit of the money as well, again, from our contacts that are high net worths that like investing in resources. So I think since we've listed, there's always a bit of speculation around a float. I think the speculators, purchased. While we were drilling last year, the share price got up to as high as 26 cents. That allowed some people to, have a liquidity event and get out. And I think all the people that remain in there have purchased around that 20-cent level and now want to see us go and spend money. So I haven't checked today, but
20 cents.
Yep. So as we listed, 20 cents, which, let's face it, in the current market for junior explorers,
pretty darn good,
is an exceptional result.
Yeah.
And I think that talks to what people hope we'll find. And I think it also just suggests that the people that are in there want to see us go and spend our money and make a discovery. And I think at the 20-cent value compared to, if you look at WA1, who was
$10.
A 20-cent float just a couple of years ago, not even 2 years ago. Well, it's almost 2 years. It was in February they listed. They've been as high as 12. So happy day investors. Like a discovery in this part of the world in a nicely contained, tightly held company will mean real success, real value for shareholders. And I think that is really one of the compelling reasons why people should look at us. I think as an investment destination for speculative exploration money, there's a lot of value upside there.
Well, I also think it's important to point out to people, because you mentioned it earlier, assets and people. You're the managing director. You've got skin in the game, and you've putting your money where your mouth is. Money where your mouth is. In other words, you've actually put money into this company, so you're in lockstep with shareholders. That's a big tick.
Yeah, look, I think that is an important step. You want to see the people that are running the company that are believers in the company, and it wasn't all gifted to me. It was hard-earned folding money, so it has to be successful, or my wife won't be happy. But
happy life, happy wife.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, look, we are all pushing in the same direction, and that's the same for all those people that I mentioned in the sort of top 20 shareholder class. I would say that we are all pulling in the same direction.
Okay.
It's all sticky money, so you won't see huge volatility coming out of those.
Okay, good to hear. I just wanted to get that corporate going. You did maiden drilling at the Tantor project.
Yeah.
Just give us what's going to be happening, because it is all about discovery at the moment. So
yeah.
Just go through what you're going to be doing in the next few months.
So we're mobilising to site in about 10 days to do some ground-based geophysics. So we're doing some IP over our IOCG targets. We've got a nickel target out there, and we're doing some EM over that. The IOCGs also get ground gravity. But we'll run all of those programs pretty much concurrently. So we've just got people on site, and it just makes it easier logistically to manage if you've got all that geophysics happening. Those programs will take 3 weeks to a month.
Okay.
We've contracted a drill rig to commence in April. So pretty much we get out there late Feb. The geophysics happens over March. We'll be getting information back, because it's not all like one big program. So we're going to target those geophysics programs on the things that we're going to do first. So Surus will be our first drill target. That's EIS funded, by the way, as well. We've got like $200,000 EIS grant to drill that hole. Yep. Never hurts to have a little bit of cash come back for the money we spend. And so, then we roll onto the Surus target, which is a deep, large gravity target. IOCG style mineralization is the target there. Could well be just given its location on this major structure, which goes all the way up right past the WA1 discovery. So it does look like it is a major feature that controls that. And so it's possible to be I'd like it to be an IOCG, I won't lie, but I'd be happy enough if it was a niobium-rich carbonatite as well. So we'll drill that hole. That'll take about a month. It's quite a deep hole. It's 700-meter deep hole. It's kind of really,
It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen in a day.
Well, it's not so much that, like going into a brand new area that's never seen drilling and committing to a large, deep diamond hole. I think it says something about the way we think and what we want to achieve here. We really want to. We don't want to die wondering. We want to actually get out there and make discoveries. Yeah. And then once that's sort of done, we'll mobilise an RC rig. Maybe the end of April, maybe early May. And we've got RC programs over our Shep nickel target and then our Hathi rare earth target. And then we'll come back with some diamond drilling at the end to test Snorky and Horton, because we've got to drill some pre-collars for those holes with the RC rig. So it'll be...
It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. We're running out of time. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Give me 3 reasons why people should be sitting up and taking notice of CGN Resources right now.
Look, I think, first thing is we've got a major land holding, 1,000 square Ks in one of the hottest districts right now in Australia for exploration. And it's not just hot because someone's found it. It's also highly prospective. We've got great targets within there already, and there's probably another, 10 or 20 targets that we've recognised, but probably need a bit more work before we'll go and test them. Secondly, we were a very successful IPO. I think when you look back over last year, I think there was only 30 IPOs. If you take away the first top one on that, which was $400 million, the next one was 15 million, and I think we came in third or fourth at $10 million. That gives us an absolute fantastic platform as a junior exploration company to do high value, iterative, high impact exploration. And that's what we've said we're going to do in our prospectus, and that's what we are going to do. It is our strategy to do that. So you'll see work happening all the time. As soon as there's opportunities, we'll be working. We make a discovery out of one or more of those. We've got enough money that we can deploy it very quickly to really see what the scale of it is, or expand it, or really have a good look at it. So there'll be plenty of news flow, and I like to think a major discovery hidden in there is what I'm here for. And thirdly, other people like our peers that are in this region that have gone there looking, have sort of all had significant success. I'd say in an exploration standpoint, exceptionally successful. It's rare that you get to go to somewhere that is so underexplored and so prospective and has had so little work. And you do the work, you do good geoscience, you pick places where you think there's the highest chance of success, which is what our peers have done. And we've seen spectacular success at WA1, highly successful at Encounter. IGO has been very successful. I mean, most of their successes in the Northern Territory side, not the WA, but it's similar rocks, same basic architecture that they're targeting. And there's a bunch of small players that have also done very well there. So with 1,000 square Ks right in the middle of all of those people I just mentioned, I'd feel a bit gypped if I didn't find something. And I'm pretty sure, I'm quietly confident that we will have something to say over the year.
Stan Wholley, I love your energy, and I love the fact that you're like, I'm there, I'm invested. It's my funding as well. You're lockstep with shareholders. Ladies and gentlemen, they've raised the money. They don't need to come back and ask you for money, but go put it on your watch list. ASX code, as I said before, is CGR. Watch this space, or reach out to Stan and ask him the questions that I forgot to ask. Stan, great to see you on Making Money Matter. Come back once some of the more news comes out, and we'll keep in touch.
100%. Thanks for talking to me, Kerry.
Cheers.
I've enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Bye.